What's going on, you guys? This is Zach here. Welcome back to another album review. This is, come to think of it, my first review in 2017, so yay! But yeah, some of you guys may know that I picked up this album maybe about a few weeks ago. If you guys have seen my last album pickup video, which I'll probably end up doing another one, hopefully sometime this week, or maybe next week. Who knows? But anyway, and I was never really a big fan of these guys at first, but ever since I listened to this album, I was like, this has got to be on my to-get list. So, yeah. With all that being said, this is Killswitch Engage Incarnate. I gotta say, it's a pretty good album. There are some things that I like about it, some things I really don't like about it. And just to note too, this is my first Killswitch Engage album. Because I've never really jumped on the bandwagon soon enough, I guess you could say. But yeah, anyway, here's the front of the jewel case. It's pretty nice. I believe the booklet does come with lyrics. Just let me double check. Yeah, it looks like it does. Lyrics are always important when you release albums with jewel cases and, digipacks and all that. But, yeah. It's all pretty nice. I have some things to say about this record. And as a first Killswitch Engage album, I'd say it's appropriate. I mean, that might sound a bit biased because this is my first Killswitch album, but, because I've never really been too big of a fan of the sound that they do. But after listening to this, I really like it. I do. But I do want to go into more detail about it. Most of you know last year, well, not even last year, technically, 2015, all I listened to was metalcore. 2014 for me was probably when I really started getting into metalcore, because, before then, I was into stuff like Breaking Benjamin and Red, because I really didn't know how to respond to the metal genre, really. But, as I was kind of like forced into the genre, I guess you can say. I mean, not really forced into it, but I've grown to like it. And this here, Killswitch Engage, is a metalcore band. And so, of course, they're going to have breakdowns, they're going to have guitar chugging. Well, most of the time, Killswitch's guitar work in their songs, I gotta say, are pretty good. But yeah. But this album here, Incarnate, there are some things I like about it, like I said, and there are some things that I don't like about it. One of the few tracks that I heard off this record were the one track, Cut Me Loose. It's a really great song, I gotta say. It has mostly clean vocals. That's kind of the song that kind of made me want to buy this record at first. Then I decided, check out all the rest of the tracks, and I was pretty blown away. I liked what I heard. But that's no guarantee that I'm going to probably buy all of Killswitch Engage's albums, because I like this record, by all means, don't get me wrong, but I don't like it enough to say where I can buy more Killswitch albums. I'm glad I have this in my collection, don't get me wrong, and I'm glad, because I do listen to it sometimes. And it's definitely up there, though, when it comes to one of my top albums of 2016. But yeah, Cut Me Loose, guitar work, excellent, vocal work especially. Vocals in that track are great. It's a really phenomenal chorus, too, I gotta say. Chorus, it's really stellar. But yeah. And then, when I heard tracks like, what is it? Quiet Distress, I think it is. I think it's that one. it kind of has a more melodic feel to it, and it is a more melodic track on this record. It's up there with Cut Me Loose when it comes to melodic tracks on this record. And when I first heard the song, Hate by Design, it reminded me so much of All That Remains. The Fall of Ideals era, that is. It reminds me of the song This Calling by All That Remains. That's why I love the track Hate by Design, because it just came back at me. I was like, this sounds like All That Remains. So, with that said, I do recommend these guys to fans of All That Remains. You may like Killswitch Engage. And this album, Incarnate, that is. For that matter. But yeah. There's some other really great tracks on this record too. Alone I Stand, I think it's a good album opener. We Carry On, it's another really, really good track. And Ascension, I think it's a pretty decent way to close off the record. So yeah, this is Killswitch Engage Incarnate. It's a pretty good album, I gotta say. I would give my recommendation to buy it, although I do not recommend this if you're just now starting off with metalcore, because when I first got into metalcore, these guys didn't really do it for me. I hate to say it. I started off with bands like Demon Hunter and The Devil Wears Prada, As I Lay Dying, but at that time these guys didn't really do it for me. But nowadays I'm more open to more metal bands and more genres in general. So I've kind of been open. I kind of don't exclusive myself, because of, a way a band sounds. Because, let's face it, I would have hated this album, 5 years ago. Because, I wasn't really a metalhead 5 years ago. So, of course, this album, is so much pleasing to me now because of the past few years that I have been in the metal, and I've grown to just absorb so many types of metal, whether if it's classic metal, melodic death metal, or metalcore. It's a good release, I gotta say. So yeah, this is Incarnate. If you are a Killswitch Engage fan and you don't have this yet, I do recommend you pick it up, because you'll probably like it. Like I said, it's a metalcore record, so of course there are going to be some breakdowns, and the guitar work in this record is not that bad, because it's not like any other metalcore where it's just chugging. The guitar work in this record is really good. So yeah, that is Incarnate by Killswitch Engage. I say it's a good release, I gotta say. And I'm glad I do have it in my collection. It's not my favorite album of all time, of course, but it's really good, especially if it reminds me of classic All That Remains. I mean, I gotta give it that. It reminds me of just the band All That Remains in general. So, I do recommend this album to fans of All That Remains. You may grow to like it. Because I think over time I'm growing to like it. Like I said, Cut Me Loose was the track that kind of had me hooked, but it kind of grew off me a little bit. Now I'm hooked on the tracks like Hate by Design and The Quiet Distress. Those two tracks are probably the ones that take it for me so far. My mind might change over time. I might grow to like some of the other songs a little bit better on the record. I still do like the song, Alone I Stand. I like that song too. I think it's a good album opener. So yeah, that pretty much wraps this up. It's a good album. If I can say, if I would have to give it, a type of rating, because if you guys haven't noticed, I don't really use numbers when I rate albums anymore. If I can say if this album is, if it sucks, if it's okay, good, or awesome, I would put it in the, I guess, good category. It's or maybe an above average okay category. It's a good album, but it's not too impressive. It seems kind of mediocre in a way, too. So, yeah. But it is definitely a good metalcore record. I don't recommend you pass on it, though. It's a good one, I gotta say. That wraps us up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. I look forward to reviewing other albums this year. And let me know, guys, what do you think of this record? Do you agree with what all I said about it? Leave your own thoughts. Well, I will hopefully at some point get around to be doing my top albums of 2016 video. So yeah, with that said, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, of course. And see you guys later.